They're recording, so what you did mention recording, you did say
Yeah.
It doesn't go here either.
Well, good morning, everyone. We're elated you're here. So thank you for coming out. My name is Erin Gershie. I'm one of your PFA education co-chairs along with Tamara White. We are really looking forward to getting together. The purpose of this meeting is really to have an informal FAQ about the freshman class. We thought we have got some questions that we could field ahead of time for our phenomenal faculty. And what we're looking to do is we're going to ask some of the questions and naturally get their response, and then also open up the floor as need be to all your questions. Please welcome, if you have a chance to write your name tag, we really were hoping that we could get as much networking as possible and let everyone get to know each other. So please feel free to put down your name on your name tag, as well as grab some nibbles. There's water and coffee and some lovely nibbles as well. This is the first one of our parent education networking events. And I also would like to, of course, introduce you to our phenomenal panel. We've got Sarah Drexler, who's one of our class counselors, Larry Sullivan, who's a freshman class principal, and Lori Keene, who's also one of our counselors. So we're really looking forward to networking and just having a chance to all get together this morning. But as always, if there's any questions after, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is on the website. And what we're going to do is ask some questions, really kind of like a one-off panel, and then we'll just open it up as need be. So thank you so much. These questions out, the font was rather small. Unfortunately, I don't want them to have their eyes strained. So I'll ask a question, and we'll just run down as need be. The first one, I'm actually going to start off really with a lighter topic because it made me have a chuckle. And it was, is there a dress code in high school, and what is it? Especially for girls. Photos in the weekly newsletter show girls in very short and revealing outfits. Could you please expand on this?
Ladies?
Well, we don't have a per se strict dress code, as you can see from the pictures, but if something is certainly extremely inappropriate, a faculty member will kind of address, we want our kids safe and so forth, but we also want to hope that you all will help with that. I only have 2 boys, so I can't speak from personal experience, but I know my friends that do have daughters, it's very difficult. Mom, everybody's wearing this, right? And so forth. And a good check if you think something is too much. You wouldn't want to over push it that they then hide what they're wearing and then take something off in school so you're unaware. You want to kind of keep that open dialogue open so you could have those discussions. You could always say something like, well, what would Grandma think about this? So, you don't have to dress like you're going to church necessarily, but that mind of teachers are working with you. You want everybody comfortable and those sorts of things. But I know it's a little bit of a battle, for sure. But we want kids to be appropriately dressed and covered.
Should I comment on what you used to wear as my student in English?
Yeah.
25 years ago? No, always appropriate.
Pretty much.
I did. I was Lori's English teacher at Greenwich High School about 5 years.
So, yeah.
No, it's similar to what Lori said. Obviously, if something becomes incredibly distracting, that's really where the school would intervene. And that could be, about the size of the entire, it could also be the message that a student is wearing that perhaps is disturbing or upsetting. So we do tend to have conversations with students about that on the rare occasion when it happens. But other than that, again, we're assuming if a student is coming in their attire, that's something the parent is aware of as well.
Terrific. Thank you so much for answering that. Okay, moving on. My next question is, how is New Canaan High School college acceptance this year? How many students are accepted into the question is into top 2C?
20. Right? 20.
Oh, 20.
Okay. So we don't have the class of 2024 data because we're actively working on getting those applications in. So our class of 2023, 93% of those students are attending four-year schools. And I think it's 84% were admitted to one of their top 3 choices. So that's really good. As far as top 20 schools or colleges and universities go, it really depends, I think, on whatever you're looking at and considering a top 20 school. Certainly our students do incredibly well in very competitive universities here. So we were thrilled with the statistics. We did have some early deferments that we were a little nervous about, and then ultimately our students, I think, ended up where they were meant to be, and they're thriving. So.
Can I ask a follow-up to that? There are rumors about kids that in the past have done early action and then declined, and so that's given, we're on a blacklist at some schools that won't accept us. Is there truth to that?
Well, that's a little, early action is not binding, so
Early
any
decision,
early
I meant
action.
then.
Okay,
Sorry.
perfect. So just, I know a lot of freshman parents don't know the lingo. Early action is not binding. Early decision is, and those deadlines typically are early. You're looking at November 1st or November 15th. But under an early decision plan, both you all, your son and daughter, and the school counselor signs a form that says it's binding. In my experience, the only time a person got out of an early decision is because of the financial concern, because right on the bottom of the Common App Agreement form, it says the only way is if it's financially not feasible. And if you're a real financial aid candidate, we encourage kids and families to do an early financial aid read for that particular institution before they do early decision, because there's a lot of power if it is if that's part of your decision, there's a lot of power in comparing. I know I'm going off a little off track here, but there's a lot of power of comparing financial aid packages to then decide where he or she's going. But we're not on any blacklist.
We're not. Okay.
No, I would say that's very much a rumor.
Okay.
Part of our department work is fostering relationships with colleges and universities. And what that looks like is we all have opportunities to travel. So we seek out schools where we feel maybe our students didn't get as accepted as maybe in the past, or we're a little surprised by how many of our students, were admitted or were not admitted. So we seek out those schools. We're also, if we're not traveling there, we have reps that come here, and we're the counselors are having kind of side conversations with any school where we feel like our students maybe aren't doing as well. But that's definitely a rumor. And it's very rare for a student to pull out of an ED agreement for that to be something that would blacklist us.
Just to kind of build on what Sarah was saying, so some statistics, these were just presented to the Board of Ed a few weeks ago, of that 93% that are going to four-year colleges, 80% are in what are termed competitive colleges, with 30% in the most competitive, 38% in highly competitive, and 12% in very competitive schools. So as opposed to the top 20, which people would probably disagree on,
Yes.
those buckets are well represented among our graduates.
I've been doing way too much research on that topic, which is that throw U.S. News and World Report out the window. The way they make their lists is not really relevant. So the book that I read recently was Colleges That Changed Lives. It has a lot of colleges, a small little list of colleges in there that I don't really see on the bumper stickers around here. So that's a question that I have, is that in schools that may have that crossover of giving merit aid, because a lot of us might not fall into the FAFSA, Pell Grant financial aid category, need-based aid. So for merit aid, and then you mix it with schools that may not have that relationship with New Canaan, or even be like, wait, there's somebody from Connecticut that's applying here. So that I feel like might be where my child has the best shot of getting really decent financial aid, and it might not fall into that list of competitive schools. So what is your take on schools like that?
Yeah, well, you're right. So something that our goal as a department last year was to really start adding some schools to students' lists that we kind of, Mrs. Carroll is our college and career coordinator, and she said kind of those unicorn schools. So getting schools and parents to think outside the typical bumper sticker. So I know that we, really sought to have those schools added to the students. When we meet with juniors, we have some input into colleges they should consider. So that was part of what we're, trying to bring some change. I was new here last year, and I was very surprised that our students tend to apply to really the same 10 colleges and universities, and you don't see that everywhere. So kind of breaking through that and getting them to think about some schools that maybe are outside of what they have heard.
So it sounds like that it's a parent mind shift as well.
It's a big mind shift, yeah.
And also, just to piggyback, The Colleges That Changed Lives is a wonderful book. There's a lot of hidden gems, and that are on the competitive side as well. They're just not seen on the bumper sticker, but nationwide, they're very competitive schools to get into. And we do have relationships with those colleges as well. For example, one of our counselors sits on the college advisory panel over at Ohio Wesleyan University. So we most certainly have connections with a lot of schools that are on those books. And also, pre-pandemic, we saw students applying to a variety of schools and a variety of sizes. Really, since the pandemic, the attraction to the larger schools seem to have grown exponentially. A lot of that because the past 2 years, senior classes, they kind of missed out, right? They didn't have a homecoming, they didn't have a prom. So all of a sudden, they love football, so they're gearing towards the big, huge, rah-rah school spirit schools, when I think we'll see that shift change as students are having more of a typical high school experience now. But that's also why we saw that shift. Go ahead.
So I have a friend who just hired a college tutor for her freshman. And I know you spent a lot of time in our early months joining the high school about what your department does and how you follow children for 4 years. Do we need to do that? Do they get enough support at school with some help at home for us to navigate the process without having to do a 4-year relationship with a college advisor?
There's absolutely no need here in the school to get a college advisor. We work with you all 4 years. We have programs. We start meeting with the juniors around college planning with one-on-one meetings, a parent meeting, and we're here for you all every step of the way. I could get into the whole program of what we do at 9 through 12, but I don't think that that's a true point of this meeting, but we are here for you every way. We have programs. We've already had 2 sessions with our seniors in small groups talking about where they should be at with the college. And I have some family members that are either seniors or have graduated with my nieces and nephews. And my brother and sister are shocked that their school doesn't do half of what we do here. I mean, especially because now I'm in the thick of it with older nieces and nephews. It's remarkable. I'm sitting there with my niece, they didn't show you that. So you're really in good hands. And we also work as a team, which is really fantastic. So if any of us are stumped on a certain school, we jump in, we help each other. We also have a college and career center where we have college reps come in, and she hosts wonderful programs as well. So I assure you all are in wonderful hands. Maybe for the one-off, and if that is, call your counselor and ask.
Yeah, I always say it should be in consultation with your school counselor. We focus a lot on the developmental readiness, and certainly freshman year is early on in that readiness, and come senior year, it could be a lot on that student. So
I would concur with what Lori and Sarah have said. I have one child who's currently a senior in another high school, and I can say he does not have the same level of support that's given here. That being said, it's wonderful. I have access to these great resources and counselors here. I know Bill Egan joined us. Bill's daughter. Yeah, I'm calling you out here. But your daughter just went through the process as well in terms of applying to college, and the question was the need for an outside counselor for.
Those are individual family decisions always with all that. I think our counselors do an amazing job. It's funny, I asked some parents if they recently they had us there. They know people who got counselors. Many said yes, And certainly that's an individual choice. But I do think our families are giving a great service and have insight to, I think, the rapidly changing environment, even more so than sometimes outside counselors do. Because literally, it's, as I'm sure these guys probably pointed out, it's changed dramatically from even 4 years ago to where, you know, it can be test optional in most places. And what does that actually mean from school to school, you know? Where these guys have some inside knowledge in the sense that they're actually meeting with a lot of these counselors, admissions counselors, as they come here. And there are times, I'm sure they talk with this, we have seemingly the same interests. Like these are awesome students who are coming through, and in many regards they apply to the same schools, you know. And in some cases we might have great success at a school, and in some cases we might not. And these guys will bring in counselors and identify them and talk to them and say, well, why are we successful, or why were we not as successful last year? And they'll get insights that maybe some others might not get. So.
Can I just say something from the parent perspective? Because, I mean, I've been through this twice now with New Canaan High School. My daughter is a junior in college, and my son is a senior this year. He just submitted some applications last night. But I really think you shouldn't worry about this now. You definitely don't. I mean, if you decide to hire a college counselor, that's obviously, I agree with Bill, is completely like a family decision based upon what your need of your child is. But these guys do an amazing job, and I have two extremely different children. One did everything herself. This one, not so much. But they got him through it, and he applied. Amazing, and he wrote an essay. So it was touch and go for a little while. So like, I really don't think you have to worry about this right now. And I do, from the parent perspective, they do a really, really good job. And my guidance counselor isn't even up there right now, and she's amazing too. So and to the college visits, you really, when your child becomes a senior, send them to the visits. The reps are so helpful. One rep even told them, submit your scores if it's this range. So it's really helpful for them to like get that touch point with the colleges. We have like over 150 colleges that come. It's incredible, and a wide range. So that's just from a parent, and yes, and that's the last point. There's no way your freshman knows where they want to go to college right now. Right. They might not change their mind, but mine have been through, like where they ended up, where they'll end up won't be where they thought they were going to go their freshman year. My guess. So it's too much pressure for them. Right? That's just my parent. I'm not speaking as an expert on my parent perspective. Is they just want to get their freshman year.
I agree. I have two that came through New Canaan High School and have graduated from college, and I agree. You guys do a great job at trying to get through freshman year and then focus on freshman year because it's,
you'd be stressed out about it later.
Year. Yeah.
Well, and there are really good parent programs, not just because I'm the VP of Education for the PFA, but they are good. This junior year ones are amazing. They give you so much information, and you're ready to kind of bring that. And even senior year, it's like down to, yes, submit this transcript at this time, to that level of detail. So you are not going to be in the dark if you come to our networking meeting.
And honestly, for me, my daughter, Larry just said my daughter's a freshman in college, and like for her, I think every child is different. Developmentally, they kind of get to different stages when they're ready. Like we asked her to take the most rigorous classes she could take. That was kind of really it freshman year. She was not interested in looking or talking about college really until junior year. The first tour we went on was her sophomore year. We went to a wedding out in Washington. We went to the University of Washington, went on a tour out there. Gorgeous campus, by the way. And then junior year, we started in earnest in February and kind of continued throughout the year into senior year. But ultimately, she wasn't even ready when we started in February. She was like scared that we were going on a tour. She didn't speak. She didn't really enjoy the process. She got more into it April break, and then through the summer, going into senior year. Then it became more real for her, but ultimately every child is different, and don't be worried if you feel like, oh my gosh, my kid just wants to stay home, which by the way, I would have loved if my daughter stayed home. She was my friend, I liked having her around, she was great, all that stuff. By the way, she's at UConn, and she literally does not want to come home, has not come home, and having more fun, hopefully she does. But
Are you just okay?
no. And it did. Anyway.
And I always tell families, every year they're getting ready for college, right? So this year they're learning about themselves as learners. They're finding out what activities they're interested in. All of that will eventually help them to identify the campus that's a good fit for them.
I'd see the only benefit of planting the seed now is that, say, for example, some schools that maybe they're going to be interested in require 4 years of a language, or require you to take something in the arts, the California school, something in the arts all 4 years, that kind of thing. I feel like that might be the only benefit of planting the seed in the minds of the freshmen.
We meet with the students junior year when we start learning about their college lists and building upon or creating their college list from start. And it's very few schools that require 1.0 of fine art. That's the UC schools. And at that point, kids have already taken one. If they need a second one, they can get that in. And we've even had certain occasions that there needs to be a waiver because the student was all STEM. There was literally no room, and they accepted. Because they understand for the state of Connecticut, you only need 0.50 one semester of a fine art. And there's 0 schools that require 4 years of a world language. Colleges like to see 3, if not 4 years of the same language. However, sometimes they had AP Spanish as a junior. They're not going to start with level 1. That's going to look as if lightening their load. Or they really struggle to get to that third year, junior year. You have 3 years. Let's take a break. Let's double up in an academic of an area of interest. You love math, so you're going to take stats along with pre-cal. They love the humanities. They're going to maybe throw in an AP Psych along with the U.S. government, etc. So the key is to have 4 years of the 5 core academics.
And can I just say, as you're talking about these classes, I didn't have any of these classes as a kid. This is amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of options, yeah.
Question?
Yep.
Yeah, so change our topic. So I have a question regarding the research, science research. I do not know if we have the program or not. So we moved from Greenwich a few years ago. I know that in their high school, they have a fantastic research program. I don't know how they organize it, but every year the students won regional reward every year. So I think they got to do something. I think our students are as bright as they are, and I know that because my son was there, right? So I wonder if we can have if we do have a similar research program or not. And then secondly, if we do, is there any area that we can improve so that we can be as competitive as they are? If not, and I wonder if we can, have the similar research program. So that's really my question.
Well, we have a science research class that students may opt into taking. But I don't know if you're talking more like a competition that students are a part of in Greenwich?
Yeah, I think
We've won the Regeneron program as
Yeah,
well.
we've had
two students as recently as, I think it was 2018. We ended up getting a stipend from them actually for their research. And that was through our science research program. Not everybody has to do that.
Sure.
So it's not every year that we'll have kids that will do it, but we do have kids that do it. It's a great program. I think it's done a little differently than Greenwich does, but we do have a science research program where people can do research. They spend a lot of time over the summer even in internships through Yale and different places. If people have that passion, and it's a select group of students that do.
And when do they start?
Junior year?
Sophomore year.
So sophomore year? Sophomore year.
And students can take it all 3 years, which is a really nice opportunity. And just like Mr. Egan said, sometimes they get summer internships due to their research that they've done. And we also have outside clubs that also are in the STEM fields that we've won wonderful awards. Our teams, the Jets, Odyssey of the Mind. I think Mr. Haig, what did they win last year? Some remarkable with the physics bowl.
The team championships, yeah.
Something nationwide. So we do very quite well. And
Those are clubs. Those are all clubs after school.
Terrific. We're going to lead us into the next question, and it's regarding just grades. And the question is, how important are freshman year grades for the college process? Do they look at final grades, GPA, or grades throughout the year?
So, when many years down the road, your child applies to college, what will go on their transcript will be a semester grades. So not their first quarter of freshman year, not their second quarter, but it will be an averaging of the first quarter, the second quarter, and a midterm exam in most classes. that's the grade that will appear. And I think Lori and Sarah will speak to, understanding that what colleges want to see more than anything is not that the student got straight A's in 9th grade, but that the student showed an upward trend or an upward progression in their performance over time.
Right, absolutely. They're looking for an upward trend in rigor and grades. So we always like all of it to slowly go up, but with the balance, remember. And teachers make their courses in isolation, so they say, oh, Sarah, I want you to be an AP stats and so forth. They don't know the whole larger picture, so a balance is going to be what's key because we want your students challenged but not overwhelmed. So each March we sit down with the students and plan their schedule based on their course recommendations, and we certainly want them balanced because our students, and we encourage them to be involved outside of school. For the question of the freshman as a college counselor, at this point we want freshmen engaged, finding new things, finding new hobbies and passions during this time as well. And there's no strict pathway to get you into school X. It's also about students being their authentic self, not just taking courses because that's what they think that they need. It's just really showing the trajectory of their passions and interests and being authentic.
What I always say to people though is it doesn't matter. Like your grades matter. Like I don't want to like sugarcoat that, right? That you get to high school, it is for keeps. It's different. But they're right. You're looking for an upward trend. You want to show growth. You want to show growth in rigor, show growth in grades. But they're important, And so I think that's one of the beauties of coming to high school a little bit that differentiates it from middle school. It's like also it's a change in expectations and it's a change in the approach. So I don't want to say it doesn't matter because it does. And that's not what you guys said, but it's important.
I also just don't want people, if they got the first progress report, or the first quarter comes home and decide everything's over.
Well, to that point, I think it's what are the grades telling us, right? So is the student going to class prepared? Are they asking questions? Are they meeting with the teacher for extra help? We have a culture here where students meet with teachers of all abilities for extra help, and it's pretty amazing to see. So I always tell students, go for extra help if there's something that you're not understanding. If the student, is getting used to the block schedule and they're doing their homework right after class, and then they're not seeing it, and it's math or it's a world language, they're not seeing it for, a day and a half, is that student somebody who needs to the night before review their notes? And sometimes you have conversations with students who are like, review my notes? Why would I review my notes? I don't have homework, So it goes with what are the grades telling us, and how can we use that information to progress them forward, and just kind of learn from that. But the growth is important, and what they can learn from it is important.
And just like Bill said, the grades do matter. Colleges do see freshman year. Some kids think, oh no, they don't care. But no, they look at everything.
This kind of piggybacks on what you were saying about extra help. Can you explain to me the Wednesday building block? Like what happens during that? I mean, I get bits and pieces, but I can't really put it all together, so I'm just curious what happens.
I'd love to. I'm on the building block committee. So as I said earlier, I was new last year. So I came when we had RAM time, which was extra help, academic support on Tuesdays, and then Fridays, a different schedule with broadcast. So we've moved to Wednesdays is the day that it's disrupted, or it's just a different type of schedule. So everything's on Wednesdays, and it's an alternating schedule. So students will either have academic time, which is if you have older students, it's the former RAM time, where students are able to go and seek out. Usually they have time to see one teacher. You're probably not seeing, multiple teachers.
Do they have to make an appointment for that? Or they?
So for academic time, each teacher might say to the class, these are my expectations around it. That being said, for the most part, we're trying to get students to go and touch base with teachers. Okay. So I would say they don't always have to check in. They can reach out. They have to let the teacher know that they're leaving from the class that they're currently in.
Okay.
And they have to sign in where they're going.
Yeah.
Okay.
And academic time during that block is not the only time teachers are available.
Right, I understand that, yeah.
That they should, teachers communicate with kids and families, these are my hours. We ask at least one afternoon during the week that they're able to stay and meet with kids. Many of our teachers, especially now with the later start time, sometimes, give more time in the morning.
So they have to, the theory behind that is that they actually have to, if it's an academic, because sometimes it's not an academic time, correct?
Correct.
So during that academic time, they have to self-advocate to be able to do the things they need to do.
Correct, right.
Right, so as a parent, that's our job, is to kind of
Say, what are you working on?
push that self-advocating during that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And additionally, if they have no one to go see, they do have time to work on some
Do
work.
homework.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And many of our teachers may say to a student, hey, we've got an academic time coming up
Yeah.
this week.
They let them know.
You should
Okay.
really come in, so
Okay.
they may be encouraging your child to come in for
Great,
that.
thank you.
And then some days it's a broadcast day, so we get to see it on CTV. And then community is an advisory type model. So if you're familiar with advisory programs, it's getting to know students, and they stay in their classes. So it's kind of a nice time for the students to work on something other than the content specific to that class. But think icebreaker type activities. There's lots of different ways.
That was a
of-
shift. We shifted
Yeah.
more from, there's a lot of lessons on there were some emotions or different things in the lessons that they had. We kind of shifted that and said, let's do more community-based activities where the kids can kind of work together and kind of get that through the community building instead of the other way around. So we wanted to shift that way. And additionally, I guess one set of the month is also an opportunity for the counselors to meet with one grade level. So they'll rotate through the year. They should at least meet with every grade level twice.
Which actually the freshmen were meeting next Wednesday for the Council of Connections. You can have a fun opportunity to get to see them.
Sorry, I just want to ask the difference between that and free time. So is free time, will you talk about that a little, because I get them confused when I'm trying to encourage my child to go talk to a teacher and they say they're not available. That they're not available would be during a free, right? Because
during a study hall, or if they have like a half mini free.
So,
Okay.
so a student can certainly leave a study hall to go work with the teacher. Now that the teacher they need to work with may not, their schedule may not
Right.
align exactly with when your child has a study hall. But yes, I mean, we do assign ninth graders to study halls. They may still have, pretty rarely, some open time other than that. They're not, every free moment won't necessarily be assigned to a study hall. In a study hall, the expectation is it's a supervised environment, but it really is left up to the individual kid to use the time as they best see fit. For some kids who may have had a full day, it might be, I'm going to sit here quietly for a little while because I do need a break now. But for other students, it certainly can be a time to access their teachers, or go to the library and work on a group project with other kids, those types of things.
Another opportunity during study hall is for students to attend the Writing Center. The Writing Center is open every period, and it's for help with any written pieces, be it in English, social studies. Wonderful resource, and that extra step doesn't go unnoticed. Whatever writing teacher is working with their son or daughter then, with an email, let's say the social studies teacher, that, oh, Johnny was here working on such and such, so the teacher's aware that they want to get that extra help. So it's another nice opportunity.
It's the same with math too, right? There's math.
But we don't have.
There is a math center, but
Yeah.
it's
So
not.
old.
It's
So the drop is no longer.
not a drop any longer,
It's not a drop.
unfortunately.
And the writing center, do you have to make an appointment, or you can just walk in?
There's two pieces to that.
Yeah.
It's the first half is assigned, and the second half is drop-in.
Right.
I see.
What do you mean two halves?
Sorry, the block is broken up in basically
Oh, I
two
see.
halves. So the first half is assigned students who are there for particular lessons or different things, and the second half of the block are for drop-ins.
Okay, and just to try this a little bit further, if your child wants to reach out to them, then they know who this person is and what they should
In the writing center,
Yeah.
they should talk to probably their English teacher. I'm speaking out of turn here. They should probably talk to their English teacher, or everybody knows where the room is. If they want to drop in,
Sure,
just come in.
sounds great.
Yeah, and there's a list of what teachers are in there all the time.
Question in the back.
What is the process for a freshman who is in a study hall to be able to leave? Because my daughter seems to be under the impression that she's not allowed to leave when she asks one time for her study hall.
No, generally speaking, if they're going somewhere for an academic purpose, it would not be.
Shouldn't be prison.
Yeah, but they'll want to know where are you going, for what purpose, you know, is it something you need to do there? Could it be something a student could work on here? But, you know, as the example I gave earlier, that your daughter had her group mates from a class are available at the same time, they're going to meet in the library to do some research on a project, that type of thing.
Should be allowed.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we have the, I don't want to say overly strict, because every individual is different, but somebody might not think that the reason is, I won't say authentic enough, because I'm not saying that, but important enough. So if there's a problem and you feel like that's not happening, let us know, we can try now.
Yeah, that happened to my son too. Once he checked in, then he was stuck in the classroom instead of, and then, you know what I mean? Like, so she had signed him in,
Yeah.
and then she wouldn't let him in. He said, "Oh, I need to go to such and such," and she said, "But you already checked in, so now you have to stay here."
That's been our experience too.
It should, I guess, kind of, shoot the grade level administrator an email, we'll work with the person. It could be that somebody is just, you know, just trying to be responsible for everybody.
Right.
And not, you know, but there's no reason that it can't go somewhere if it's for an academic purpose.
Yeah, we want them to use the time productively, you know, and if that's what your child needs to do at that time, we want that to happen.
I just wanted to go back. Do they all have to do the community building and the broadcasting, or is that something they have to opt into?
No, so they'll stay in their classroom
Okay.
during that time and participate in the event, yeah.
Okay.
It's
So-
not a freebie.
Yeah.
Great.
Now, that being said, if they were free that period, then it would be. So, for example, if they were not in the building, they don't have to come back for it. That's the only time it would be.
And usually the broadcast is about 15 minutes or so, and there still should be some time for academic time after that for them to work, get some work done, or go meet a teacher following the broadcast.
And we're working through on we're trying to nip at the layers of some holes, right? So
Right.
we're getting sign-ins in the cafeteria now, we're trying to hit the hallway, so we're trying to kind of get at the kids that maybe were either free or tried to be free. They're adolescents.
The reason for the question is, some of us have kids that will do the minimum and do it well, but they're not experimenting, learning, and looking and trying new things. And I know if we just light a little fire under them, they'll go. But it's just getting them to do that. So, are there opportunities where there are no freebies, where they, you know, he didn't go to the, I forget what it was called, but there was
3-hour morning thing.
Freshman
When the
Evaluations?
kids pertain to PSATs.
no, what there was, like just even the academic, or the sports.
Club fair?
Club, thank you. I'm trying to get the link back. Because I'm playing basketball and that's it. And if I don't play at New Canaan, I'll just play some, so how do we expose them without being mom saying you should do this, because they're not gonna do it. So that's the struggle.
Well, on that realm though, starting in November, we're going to be meeting with their son and daughter one-on-one for their freshman appointments.
Okay.
And part of that is to, further build upon our relationship with your kid. In addition, we check in, what are they doing after school? And if they're not doing enough, say, okay, well, why don't you try this? You love art, well, we have the art club that meets once a week. We try to fill that in because, as I said before, we want students to be more than just 8 o'clock to 2:30. We want them engaged. We want them feeling connected because that also has really great, that helps with results for in the classroom as well if they're engaged with their school and their community. Okay. So if they're not doing enough, we'll give recommendations. Any questions, always reach out to your school counselor. Also at that meeting, we do a tentative 4-year plan where kids get to set some goals, see where they may want to increase in an honors, or, oh, I love writing so much. Well, let me tell you, we have a journalism program to kind of also connect some of our academics and electives with their potential interests. So it's a really nice time, and we love meeting them kind of mid-November, mid-quarter. It's the perfect time to check in on them.
And I think it's okay to continually have conversations with your mom, because realistically, you never know when things kick in for a kid.
And a plug for school counselors, if you feel like you're doing so much of it, let us be, the person to kind of check in and see what they're involved in, and also recognize it's, you know, it's mid-October, right? It's been, I think it's always a tough transition to a new building that over time they start to find, you know, kind of their people and their activities, and some of it comes, and if not, reach out to the counselor for sure.
It's been explained to me and I've read the information, but I maybe just need you to walk me through it one more time about the credits, about electives, BPA, STEM. My daughter's double booked because music is important to us, and I'd like her to keep taking music 4 years, but that means she has no free period. She's also in interior design, but then she's gonna have to take a STEM at some other time too, right?
If she's already in interior design, she is good to go.
Okay.
Because STEM is also math and science, so she'll be able to reach that 8-9 credits through math and science as well, in that one career tech ed that she's in right now, so she's okay.
Okay, so meaning like with choir, she's then done with all elective requirements after?
She's with this career in tech ed, because she's in interior design right
Yeah.
now. You're good to go. And also, we send the 4-year plan home. I know I'm a visual person, so
Yeah.
once you see kind of where the outline of what is needed, that's going to help you. And if a student needs something, we'll do a check of, hey, let's try to get this in by junior year. But any questions after that 4-year plan comes home, please reach out to your counselor. But if she's choir all 4 years, this semester career in tech ed, she's good.
I know, she wants to take other things, but then she also is in rigorous classes.
I know, it's so hard if there could only be more time in the day.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about the mentor program? I know it's probably changed since my son and daughter have been here. It's been a few years, so I just feel a little bit bad for my son because sometimes he doesn't connect with the friends that he had from Saks, and I'm like, oh, who'd you have lunch with today? And he's like, oh, I ate alone, and I'm hearing that a lot, and I'm like, ugh, you know. And I just wondered, like, does the mentor program like engage at any point, or kids reaching out to the younger kids at all? Because I just feel kind of bad, and I don't want to be like, you know,
Sure.
panicking him, but it's a little concerning. I've been hearing that a lot.
No, and that's another place where if you're hearing that from your student, you know, reaching out to the counselor can be helpful. But yes, as you probably know, your kids were all connected with a mentor at the start of the school year. And typically, the mentor kind of steps back a little after the opening, but they did have the opportunity on the morning that the ninth graders came in, and the sophomores and juniors were doing the PSAT, to reconnect with each other. So certainly, you know, if you're seeing your student struggling with some of those things, we can you know, work to reconnect them with the mentor, and/or, you know, saying to teachers, this student is maybe struggling, you know, at lunchtime, do you have some good kids, you know, that they could go to lunch with that day, that type of thing as well.
Yeah, and I don't want to, you know.
No, you never want to single your kid out, too,
Yes,
I get it.
yeah,
you
so
know.
it's a little
Yeah.
difficult, and he's
Right.
not in sports, so that makes it even worse, so he doesn't have,
Yeah.
you know, he had the pep rally, he was like, oh yeah, I saw this so-and-so up there, and so, you know, but he wasn't involved in that, so I just want to somehow behind the scenes get him, you know, connected
Sure.
to some more kids.
Yeah, no, I think reach out to the counselor, and they're the best first step for them.
And that's also a good background for us to have before that freshman appointment. One, we'll try to make the lunches a little easier right off the bat. But then when we meet for the freshman appointment, just to give ideas of other clubs as a way of meeting people, because the extracurricular activities are a great way of being exposed to new students. And quite often, too, we see freshman year in general, friendships tend to shift a little bit from the middle school, especially if they've been together since kindergarten on, and that's part of the process as well, but we want to give your son or connected for sure.
Are the mentors upper class?
They are, they're seniors, so, and a really great group. I'm also the grade level administrator to the senior class, and just such a great group of kids. And I think any mentor who knew a kid was struggling would want to step back in and help with that as well.
We're liaison in regards to community service. And the next question is, are community service hours required for graduation?
No, but good to have. It's not a graduation requirement like some high schools across the state have, so it's not a requirement. I do tell, and this is where families and parents can be really helpful, you know, help your child certainly get involved and volunteer and on your end help them to track that involvement. So that is something I always kind of say to parents, track how many hours they're doing, just so eventually when the time comes and they're applying for jobs or they're applying for other internship opportunities, they have, kind of early start of a resume going, where you could say that they devoted, 20 hours, or whatever it may be.
And again, a conservative estimate is probably about a quarter of our activities and clubs revolve around some form of community service. So taking a look at that document, which is available on the website, if your child has a particular interest, my guess is we have a service organization who can help them with that.
On that same note, for summertime, do you do like a fair or something that gives kids opportunities to do community service over the summer, or is that just something that we would have to do on our own as parents? Like there's not like a fair, like a job fair or anything like that for summer opportunities for kids?
We don't have a fair, however, summer opportunities will come through the College and Career Center, and especially, if somebody's looking for a gardener or somebody's looking for some volunteer work or some programs, that would be through the College and Career Center. If your son or daughter has a particular interest of what they think they may want to be doing over the summer, you can have them see us, and we could also offer some ideas. And I know the working laws are interesting. A lot of your rising sophomores may not be eligible for a W-2 job.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
But a lot of students will.
And they're aging out of camps.
Yeah, so some
So
become
it's
a
like a
CIT, others will start babysitting, others will, do landscaping. There's a lot of opportunities for both work and volunteer during the summer.
So we contact our guidance counselor for that.
If you have questions about that.
Great, thank you.
Terrific. The next question is regarding to health class. And the inquiry is, does health class talk about vaping, drugs, and your brain's response to that, as well as any changes that may be applying to, they're asking, laws relating to underage abuse?
Absolutely, yes. And in fact, your students will be doing projects on those very topics this semester in health class.
And I also know not only just the health teachers, oftentimes our school nurse will go in and share some information about vaping on the health side. She put together this pretty impressive video or slideshow that she shows the kids, so a lot of focus around that.
And the curriculum's online, right, for
Correct.
health? Yeah, so if anybody's interested in looking at year by year, the curriculum, it's online.
So those were all the questions we had at the time. So I think, somebody else will talk.
Go ahead. I have a very practical question. My daughter is having issues with her Mac. Who can she bring it to a tech room or a person or troubleshoot? It crashes like throughout the day.
So I would say the first step is she should go down to our library and see our tech integrator.
Okay.
So she goes down to the desk there. They may be able to help her. It may be something that is more hardware based,
Right.
and it would need to then go back to the Genius Bar. That bothers me.
I'm trying to avoid that, but yes.
Exactly. But yeah,
Okay,
I'd say first step, have one of our folks take a look, see if there's anything they see that they can help with.
I had a question that my child asked on behalf of a friend who wanted help from I was going to say counselor, but I know we use that differently in the school setting. And she was under the impression, she wasn't aware. I'm wondering if you could just go through for us the difference in the Teen Talk social worker, counselor availability at the school, and who has what obligation to report or what ability to help students in different ways.
Sure. So currently we do not have a Teen Talk counselor. We're still in the process of trying to work with the organization Kids in Crisis, who provides that individual. The person we had through the last couple of years resigned to take another position. Certainly anytime a kid or a family had a concern about health issues, mental health issues, a starting place is definitely the school counselor. We're also fortunate to have 2 school psychologists and 2 school social workers as well, and they're part of a team that can help a family.
Do the kids know about this? I think that was why we kind of got involved, because that child didn't want their parents to help them figure out who could help them. She wanted direct help.
Okay.
And so what, will you help me understand the difference of the social worker and the psychologist, and are the kids aware of these?
Yeah, so one of the first sessions we did within the community block was to give kids a list of these resources, who they were and where they could be found. And that's available online as well. In terms of, it's always a tough position for a school to say, we're not going to tell your parents about this. So certainly.
What did you say at the beginning of that you are in a position? I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying in general, we want to work with the student and families on something that's going on. Now, if the student comes with something, there are certain situations where we're mandated reporters to the Department of Children and Families, and we have to report it to them. But that's, that then becomes their issue to investigate and either accept as a case to work with the student and family or not. But we can still be a resource regardless of whether PCF is involved or isn't involved in it. We're also really fortunate to have a school resource officer, Jeff D., who I know many of you may know. He was at Saks prior to coming up to us. So he's a great resource as well if something is going on in the community. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be criminal, but it might be there's a concern with a student or a family, and he can help connect with resources within the community as well. And there are obviously various community resources that can help kids and families, New Canaan Cares or the town social worker. Does that help on that?
Yes.
Okay.
And gratefully, at least this situation isn't one of these extreme sorts of reporting situations. The one that I'm thinking of, it was just conflict with parents and wanting to resolve it, but not wanting, parents didn't support help. But, so I just wanted to know, if the kids were aware. But it sounds like you've let them know about it. What is the difference in the psychologist and the social worker? How they would help?
So we're housed all in the same counseling suite, and the school counselor stays with the student for the 4 years that they're with us. So that's really what I always say is kind of like a nice first place to start. And then in addition to the counselors, we have 2 school psychologists and 2 social workers. And our roles are different depending on, we have things, for example, we have students who have IEPs, they have counseling goals. So our social workers may see those students, but they also see students who the counselor feels could benefit from additional support. And the school psychologist may play a role in the counseling for 504s, students who have accommodations. However, they may also be somebody that we would reach out to. And I would say I have this student, I want to see the student, and also they could really benefit from getting to know another adult in the building. So the roles are different. It's hard to answer, but as far as seeking help and getting, a student support, I would say that's how we handle it.
And certainly the other thing that our social workers and psychologists can help with, if a family is looking for support outside of school, they may be able to make some recommendations on counselors they've worked with outside of school as well. I know I think all of us have found the Silver Hill program that came into being about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, the urgent assessment, to be really responsive and helpful for a lot of kids and families.
Part of what I think you're saying is we also work with students in navigating tricky, conversations that they may have to have at home with families, and kind of bringing in the families to support the student that they need help outside of school or whatever it may be.
And we certainly work as a team with the school psychologists and social workers. And also one thing, if you hear a concern that your son or daughter says about somebody else that's not your own student, and we share this with the freshmen, to come and have them talk to their counselor if they have a friend or anyone that they're concerned about with any types of concerns. We want to make sure that the students are good allies and will help. If we don't know, we can't help, but if they come to us with a concern, we can connect that student with the help.
I
I also wanted to add in lieu of the Teen Top Counselor, I think there's a Teen Top Crisis line that the student can call directly if they don't want to. Sounds like these are great resources, but I just wanted to add that.
And that's a
If they can
24-hour
call that
line,
number
Is that the one on the
themselves.
back of their ID?
It's called the Teen Top Crisis Line. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but so that's the person could also call that if they want to go directly to get resources. So you could look that up.
And the Kids in Crisis Hotline is a 24-hour number.
Okay.
And more information will be coming out about this. You've probably heard the New Canaan Public Schools is beginning a partnership with the Sandy Hook Promise, and we'll be doing more of a rollout of that in November, but that will be a 24-hour helpline for students if they're concerned about another student, whether that student is, thinking of harming himself or somebody else, and that would go into this call center, and it would notify the school if it were appropriate. If it were something that were more an immediate emergency, they would direct them and the concern to the police department and emergency services. So that's an upcoming resource for more serious situations, I guess. Is
What's
what I
the
would
time
say,
frame for
or
the
more
relationship?
imminent situations.
The timeframe for the relationship with Sandy Hook?
So we have had we've been meeting with them for the last year or so, and we'll really be rolling it out right after first quarter.
In the video that the students see, it helps students identify, how to be a supportive friend, what to look for in others. And so it gives them there's some skill building there with how to be a support system, who to go to. That's really cool.
I just want to add to, for less extreme situations, because I know we're talking about very serious things, but I think most of us will probably deal with the more mundane kind of oh, I'm having a problem with this teacher, or this kid in my class is really irritating me. That kind of stuff. Let's hope no one's calling crisis hotline. Just really encourage, and sometimes the kids don't want to tell you what's going on. I've had that experience with my own child. He doesn't like to tell me when something's not going on at school. Just shoot the counselor an email and say, something's going on, can you pull them in? And they do, and then they just tell them. I don't know what you guys do in there. And so it's good because
There's often
sometimes
candy involved.
sometimes as a parent, or at least my boys, they think I'm just going to come in and try to fix it. And they don't want me to do that. So they'll help them negotiate, okay, talk to your teacher, I can talk to the teacher, or maybe if this kid is bothering you, let's figure out how we can work with that. And hopefully those are more the situations you're dealing with. And really encourage that counselor relationship, because that's another advocate, someone they have at the school, an adult that can help them. That's not you, because they may not want you to do it. So just my 2 cents.
And outside of the school, I had a daughter during COVID that kind of had a mental breakdown. She absolutely loved just meeting someone on her own outside of school once a week. She did that from sophomore to when she graduated. And they don't tell me anything, and she absolutely loved that. And it made a big difference, just having someone she could say everything to. And if there was any emergency, I think this person would have told me, but otherwise it was just someone she could be completely open with. And it really helped her a lot. So that's the other option outside of school. There's a lot of that type of thing I'm sure counselors can recommend.
Well, I just want to be conscious of time. We've allocated about an hour for our meeting. So if there are any other last pending questions, please feel free to bring forward. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Okay, well,
Thank you. Thanks so much.